Hello, I'm Jinhee Choi, reader in film studies at King's College London, and I'm very happy to be part of this event and contribute. Two women directors' work to which I personally relate: A French Woman, directed by Kim Hee-jung, and Butterfly Sleep, directed by Jung Jae-eun. I'm going to briefly discuss how spatial displacement, a sense of not belonging, and the trace or presence of a character as a foreigner, as well as myself as a scholar who's been working outside of home country for a long time. I was very curious about the new fiction feature directed by Jung after her making documentaries such as City Hall and Talking Architect. And when I first saw the film, I thought she's interested in architecture. But at the press conference at Busan Film Festival, she mentioned that not only the architecture, the house of Abe Zumaru, but the place as a site of trace of love between the two leads, Ryoko and Chanhui, the former of whom is losing her memory due to the disease, Alzheimer's disease she's suffering from. I thought about the ways in which director Chung connects characters through various devices and objects like the mobile phone, cat, and her debut feature, Take Care of My Cat, or the skateboard in The Aggressive, and in the TV drama. In Korean, it's called 밀어서 감옥 해제, and a rough English translation would be something like Slight Unlock Prison. Again, the phone is the kind of connecting device here. An office lady inherits the phone of a teenage girl who's been bullied by her peers. So objects or devices or traces could be the way director Chung portrays a relationship that could be sustained, remembered, or even remedied. And I paid particular attention to the language in Butterfly Sleep. A Korean student, Chan-hye, who has interrupted his study and works at a Japanese restaurant, begins to help out a middle-aged woman writer, Ryoko, and the two connect. But Ryoko corrects Chan-hye's grammar at times when he's kind of typing up what she says and recites. But later in the film, while reading the publication of her last work, Chan-hye noticed that she kept the grammar mistakes that he made, as if those are the traces of him left on her work, as well as their relationship, of course. As a scholar who's working outside of home country in my second language, such an error is that I try to raise hiring copy editor or proofreader for an academic presentation and publication. Although director Chung claims that working in Japan is a new experience, and actually there was benefit with staff of different nationality, except the male lead Kim Jae-wook, who is fluent in both Japanese and Korean. But such an experience to adapt to be part of a different culture and language is something that could have been registered and projected to the male lead, Chan-hye. I was also intrigued by Kim Hee-jung's A French Woman, not necessarily for the ambiguity or the retrieving of the events unfolding in the past or present or just in one's consciousness, but a crisis in a relationship, terror, or even pandemic makes one acutely realize one's status as being a foreigner or being foreign. Living abroad half of my life, not belonging to either society, my home country, or where I work currently, the UK, gave me a sense of freedom, I thought. But with the pandemic, I withdraw increasingly more into myself, turning my solitude into isolation. And the female lead, Mira, in A French Woman, her encounter of the crisis at the end of the film, and a desire to hold on to something fleeting that may be real or dreamed of or imagined, could be seen as a sign of not belonging and drafting further into one's own interiority. I suppose a sense of not belonging must have guided some of my recent research on Korean cinema, flair, and urban space. I've written on Yang Ik-jun's Breathless and Jung Sang-il's Cafe Noir. In part, the film registers my experience of strolling Seoul, now touristy places such as Insadong or Cheonggyecheon area, where I visit like a foreigner despite the fact that I'm a Korean still, nationality-wise, and probably culturally as well. The trace or presence of being foreign or my own being in places either in Korean or abroad this to follow my own traces or being present only as a stranger. I'm gonna kind of end my observation with a quote from Ralph Shields, who contrasts Baudelaire's Flein Air with George Simmels' Stranger. This is his words: "The stranger is thus a foreigner who becomes like a native, whereas a flaneur is the inverse, a native who becomes like a foreigner." I feel like I'm like oscillating between stranger and the flaneur subject where I am, and the two films I kind of briefly observed kind of make me aware of that fact even more, and I appreciate the two films for that. Thank you.